At a campaign event. Good evening, I'm Alan Martin.
And I'm Elizabeth Cook. Deputies say the attack happened over the weekend at a festival in Castro Valley. And it all started with some disparaging comments about President Trump. KPIX5's Juliet Goodrich on what turned into true political fight. Juliet?
Absolutely. You know, we all know about the political war of words, but here in the East Bay, it got physical. Tell me what you think.
He would have stabbed me. He had it out saying, I'm going to kill you, MF, or I'm going to kill you. And you could see his thumb trying to get the knife out.
Republican Rudy Peters is running for Congress. Over the weekend, he says he was threatened and attacked at his Republican booth at a fall festival in Castro Valley. He says it first started with verbal threats.
He picks up the coffee cup to rear back to throw it at us. And I jump around the table. He throws the coffee cup, it misses us, it hits the ground and breaks. So I come out and grab him and wrestle him and throw him down to the ground.
He says that's when 35-year-old Farzad Fazeli of Castro Valley pulled out a knife.
He's screaming, I'll kill you, MF, or I'll kill you, I'll kill you. And he's kind of circling me, trying to get the knife out.
Not only are the facts there quite serious, but this defendant also has a prior conviction for a 242.
Fazeli made his first court appearance today in custody for possession of a switchblade and threatening to commit great bodily injury or death. But Fazeli's mother and attorneys say he is the victim. Peters says when Fazeli took out a knife, he shielded himself by reaching for one of his election signs for protection. He says he never worried about his safety and the safety of his supporters until now.
I've asked my supporters and followers in open events, I don't want them around me. I don't want their safety in jeopardy.
Fazeli's bail has been set at $55,000. His family plans to get him out tonight, and if he is out, he has a stay-away order from Rudy Peters. Now, Peters is running against Congressman Eric Swalwell, and Swalwell did send out a tweet today saying that he condemns any kind of violence.
I started with that clip today because it seems appropriate. The left is absolutely going crazy, and violence across the country against conservatives is just getting as nutty as that is. Look on the screen and you'll see we have another incident where a brand new conservative GOP office, election office, was set up and somebody tried to torch it. My goodness, I just don't understand the left. Then you've got a reporter who now has to hide because of an anti-abortion tweet she made. She's getting death threats. The violence against the right wing just continues to explode, and I just don't understand it. Look at this, a grandma holding up, "Go to hell, Trump." Scalise finally came out and warned, it's the left that's inciting this violence with the media as their horn to make sure that everyone's riled up. But former President Barack Obama, in his recent words, warned the party all of this violence, all of this hatred for Trump, it's going to kill you, drive you into a ditch on the campaign in 2018. And then at the same time he's warning the Democrats to stop all the hate, you get headlines like this: the left seeks to return to familiar ground, confident that 2016 was an anomaly. An anomaly. What they don't realize is that the support for Trump has done nothing but grow since that time. Every single sector, I've detailed it, from Jewish people to African Americans to Hispanics. You name the pillar that holds up the Democratic Party and it has weakened. Over the last few days, I've been watching all these headlines talking about how the Republicans know that they're going to lose the House. Nancy Pelosi this weekend, "I will be Speaker of the House." She says, "We already know that some in the GOP have already given up hope and stopped fighting." Well, that's all well and good, but at the same time that all these speeches and all these headlines were running, an interview with the Republicans in the House of Representatives said, "We are very confident going into election time." And they detailed races that are in Hillary's districts that they think they're competitive and going to win. I did a video basically telling you about how people of color have been informed that whites are bad. And I had told you that I had found some anecdotal evidence to suggest that not just in Florida with the governor's race, but it was happening countrywide. Well, let's take a look at some of the numbers, shall we? We have 125 seats in the Democratic Party where there is no incumbent running. Of those 125 seats, 65 winners were female and 30 were women of color. What's even more interesting about those numbers is that 73 of them have never run for political office, ever, and yet they won. So the machine was against them, the Democratic machine, and the Democratic machine, their candidates lost. Here's another thing that tells you that there's big trouble in River City for Democrats. Going into the election cycle, the primary cycle, only 21 Democrats had announced they were not running for re-election and/or later announced that they were stepping down from their position in the House of Representatives. And at this point, we have an enormous number of races where incumbents have lost, although there's only been one or two of them that have been widely publicized, and that's because they were long time, high up in the party Democrats that lost, two of them. But there have been a lot of others lost that are in lower parts of the House. Another thing you have to look at when you look at the total population of people running in the Democratic Party, at this time nominated, there are a total 133 colored people that were nominated, which is fantastic. Also, women, 158. 158 is a freaking record. So 291 people, almost 50% of the people that are running in the Democratic Party are people of color. Doesn't necessarily mean black. It can also mean Hispanic, and there are some Muslims tossed in there. And the same thing with women. Some of those 133 people of color are females, so there's some overlap there. But when a party talks about strength going into elections, what they talk about is the best candidate. It's a candidate with name recognition. It's a candidate who's been elected before. Right now in the Democratic Party, there is a dearth of that. That's why they're talking about how we need fresh blood. Well, the fact of the matter is, if these people started winning, they're going to have fresh blood whether they like it or not, because so many of these people have never held office at any level of government, to include city council or anything else local in their neighborhoods. These are all people that just got upset with Donald Trump, got upset with the Democratic Party, so they went and registered and got themselves on the ballot, and then anger in the Democratic Party over what's going on in Washington caused them to get elected. It's a wonderful thing. But when you do normal technical analysis for what's going to happen come November, this is not the group, this is not the party that you would expect to see a lot of winners out of. On the GOP side, it is the opposite. They are either incumbents, or in most cases, they are people who have held local elective office. As a result, the overwhelming majority of the Republican candidates have name recognition, and they either have a Tea Party following or some other following in their state that caused them to seek higher office. This is also a wonderful thing. In fact, some of the Republican vacancies, you'll notice they're running for Senate right now, a couple of them. That's a wonderful thing. So overall, when you just step back and look at who has the best candidates, it's the GOP. The Democrats' own statistics tell you that they have a weak crop of candidates, and they're only pretending to be ready for a massive victory. Right now, they're also trashing Trump's approval rating, which is what I told you they would do leading up to the election, and it'll only get worse. You're going to watch this. Look at CNN, -20 approval rating. Everybody else is anywhere from -4 to -11, and CNN shows up with -20. And you know they're reporting it regularly. all of this poll damage is all about not the truth, but about getting you excited and you depressed so that you won't show up at the polls. The Democrats and the media are always accusing the Republicans of trying to stop people from coming to the polls, but when you look at the actions of the left, what you see is an extreme effort to convince Republicans that are the majority that they are the minority and that they should not come and vote because everyone hates you. I don't care how many people hate me. It's a minority of the U.S. It's a sick minority that takes politics this far. And they can burn down as many GOP offices as they want to. I think it's horrid that they're trying to stab politicians. I guess this guy did it because he heard about the stabbing in another country where the leader was stabbed last weekend. So he thought he'd do it too. Let me get my day in the sun. This is all just terrible. And you look at the Antifa violence that we've put up with for 2 years. I saw an article the other day. It was so appropriate. They showed a Patriot prayer group, and the media was actually freaked out. You know why? Because there was 1 Hispanic and 2 blacks in the 10-member group that were there. And they kept calling the Patriots a white power organization, a Nazi organization. And why are there minorities at this organization? They also keep telling people that if you're patriotic, that means you're a racist. Well, that group proved that A, the Patriots, a lot of them, have nothing to do with racism. They care about America, that's all. They aren't out creating violence against the left. All they're doing is preaching patriotism, support our flag, support our president. And I was so happy to see minorities in the group because it bent the poor guy that was there to do a long article about how racist they were and the photograph that he took. And he even put in there, I'm confused. I don't understand why this is happening. Why would they support a white power group? It's not a white power group. They just love America. They're called patriots. Patriotism is appreciated by all and should be appreciated by all except on the left. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, as the polls change and they try to convince you that you should not be going to the polls, that should just tell you, get out and vote. Before you leave today, I hope you'll take the time to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.